Hey guys, so for today's video, we're going to be doing another makeup products that I hate makeup tutorial. I'm pretty much just gonna be doing my makeup using products that I hate. Now, why would I do that? If I hate them, why would I use them? Doing it for you guys. So I'm pretty much just showing you guys how the products I don't like perform. So a lot of the times I talk about the products that I don't like in my monthly favorites and regrets videos. So a lot of you guys might already see some of these products and some of them maybe you haven't yet. But what's great about this is I'm actually gonna get a chance to show you guys how they perform on the face and really show you guys by demo why they don't work for me and why I don't like them. So I feel like with these videos, I always just want to make it very clear that I do not hate any of these brands at all. Most of these brands have products that I love and products that I just don't like, that just didn't work for me, for my preferences, for my skin type, and blah, blah, blah. So if any of these products, actually, I think it's always interesting, if any of these products that I'm using today that I really hate work for you, I think it's so interesting to hear how it works for you, why it works for you, and why you like it. I just think it's interesting. You know, some people love some products and some people hate it. So definitely stay active in the comment section below and let me know if any of the products I hate, if they actually work for you. So the first product we're gonna go in with is the Milk Makeup. I actually get a lot of questions about this from you guys. This is the Blur Stick. A lot of you guys ask me, hey Amy, have you tried the Blur Stick? What do you think? Do you like it? I've tried it, you guys. I don't like it. I don't get the hype around this product. I think it was just very hyped, maybe because it was a new brand and the packaging is pretty cute. It didn't work for me. It balled up a lot on the face. And when I do that, funny enough, it's actually not, okay, there it is. Yeah, that I feel like that always, from what I remember, happens. When you first apply it, it's super smooth and you're kind of like, okay. But then after a while, it feels a little bit gritty and it normally balls up on me. But what's funny is it's actually not doing it today. You know, one of those moments when like you want to show somebody something and you're like, come, look, watch. And then you do it and it doesn't happen. I'm having a moment like that right now. It's actually not balling up. So for foundation, I'm going to be using the NYX Total Control. I always want to say Total Cover. I don't know why. Total Control Drop Foundation. This is in the shade 13 Golden. So the reason why I do not like this foundation, I wanted to love it so much. Like I really did. I loved the concept. I love the cute little bottle. I love NYX. So I really wanted to love it. And every time I still to this day see someone use it in a makeup tutorial, I'm like, oh, why didn't it work for me? So the reason why I do not like this foundation is because I found it to be very patchy on me. And even when I tried it out in my video, a lot of you guys noticed that it was really patchy. I don't know why that is. It could be because it dries quickly. Yeah, I think it's because it dries quickly. Because this side was like okay to blend, even though I'm still not, you know, crazy about it. It was okay. It dries very quickly, so it makes it kind of patchy. So it just makes the blending process not that fun for me. I also really hate the shade range in this foundation. Oh my god, you guys, all of the shades are super duper warm or super duper pink. So it's impossible if you're like neutral warm like me. Like for me, I'm more neutral warm, so I do need some neutralizing in a shade. If you're like me, there's not going to be a shade for us in this foundation. There's no neutral shades. They're just all straight up extremely golden warm or very pink. So for concealer, the Amazing Cosmetics Illuminate Concealer. I really did not enjoy this when I was testing it out. Not only the shade was just not for me, so let's just ignore the shade. Not for me. It looks like kind of muddy. I didn't like the texture. It's super thick and moussey, and you guys, like if you follow me on my channel, you know I really do not like a thick, moussey concealer. I don't. I just feel like it just looks really cakey. Like, I don't know, you can even see my pores as I go to apply that. It just looks so thick. It smells like ointment or cream or something like that. But the reason why, like the main reason, as if that wasn't enough, the main reason why I really dislike this concealer, it is so, like, it's not lying when it says illuminate. It is so wet and dewy. Like, you can even tell, like, wow, I'm sure you can see. It is so wet and dewy. Who wants their under eyes to be so dewy? I don't know if you guys can see how that kind of, most of the product faded away, so it's really not that pigmented either. And it does have this very like sticky, tacky finish too, which I'm not a fan of. So this is a really recent product that I hate, so a lot of you guys might kind of recognize this from some of my recent videos. This is the Hard Candy Sheer Envy Bake, Brighten, and Set Loose Finishing Powder. So this has nothing to do with the formula because I wasn't even really able to test the formula. This is more just about the color. Like, it really didn't work for me. If you love the Ben Nye banana powder, this is probably going to be amazing, because the Ben Nye banana powder doesn't work for me either. It's just way too dark and yellow, way too mustardy, way too yellow. When it goes on the under eyes, it looks absolutely ridiculous on me. So this is the Laura Mercier Golden Bronze Bronzing Pressed Powder. So I picked this up, and it honestly is just the total wrong shade for me. I did think this would match me because it looks like it in the swatch online, but it completely is just way too light and pinky for my skin tone. It just goes on way too pinky. I don't know if you guys can see like how muddy and pinky that looks. I don't know if you noticed, not a flattering sheen for the bronzer area. Like, I'm actually a fan of a nice luminous bronze, but when it's way too luminous and shimmery, it's just not flattering in that area. Alright, so this is the e.l.f. Illuminating Palette. I'm not a fan of this palette at all. It's supposed to be illuminating, but for me, it just seems very dull. So I am going to use this with my favorite highlighting brush, which a lot of you guys asked me what the name of this brush is, and I actually got it wrong when I replied back to some of you guys. I feel so bad. I kept saying M301, but it's not M301, it's M501. So this is the highlighting brush that is my fave. It's by Morphe. So we're just gonna go ahead and get into this e.l.f. palette. I'm gonna use this shade right here. You see that? Like, it's almost like I'm applying a matte powder. I mean, like I said, I guess if you have very dry skin, you could probably use this as like a little bit of a setting powder. I don't know, I haven't tried that, but I mean, I guess you might be able to experiment with that. But as highlighters, they just do look very dull. Almost a little bit dry. Moving on to the brows, we're going to use the NYX Tame and Frame Tinted Brow Pomade, and this one is in the shade Espresso. I really did not like the formula of this. I found it to be very waxy and slippery, so almost hard to get like that nice precise line because it was too slippery, too movable. I'm trying to like really get that line, but because it's so waxy and slippery, it makes it hard for me to get that nice precision. And I use the Dip Brow Pomade by Anastasia all the time, so it's not like I'm unfamiliar with pomades, because if you're unfamiliar with pomades, they definitely can be tricky to use and you do have to kind of play around with them and get the technique down. But I use my Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade, so I have the technique down when using a pomade. So I definitely know it's not that. It's just so slippery and barely pigmented. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say it's barely pigmented, it's pigmented, but because it's so slippery, it almost like wipes the pigment away as you try to apply the pigment. It's a mess. So now we're gonna set those brows with the Clean Color Framus Brows Tinted Brow Mascara. So this shade is in the shade, okay, it doesn't say on the bottle, but it's a super warm shade, so it's really just too warm for me, and it really just does not complement my skin tone, my hair, and I also really don't like how chubby the brush is. The brush deposits a lot of product. I don't know if you guys could tell as I applied that. It deposits a ton of product initially, and that's something I don't like. I've mentioned to you guys before, I don't like products that are overly pigmented unless you're concealer or foundation. I like a product to be more on the medium side, buildable, because it's just, it's easy to go from 0 to 100, and with the product that's so bam like that, it can mess up your whole makeup, and then you would have to redo it, and it's just way too pigmented, deposits way too much product. It ends up looking kind of gunky. I don't know if you guys can see how gunked that looks. Super gunky, chunky, too much product. Not my favorite. So I've just applied some Tarte Shape Tape to my eyelids as a primer. I love that concealer, so I'm just gonna use it as a primer because I don't have any primers that I don't like right now to share with you guys. All right, so for eyeshadow, I have the Maybelline 24 Carats Nudes palette. I've talked about this a little bit before, and I don't think it's the worst palette ever, but I also don't think it's the best palette ever, especially for the drugstore. There's so many amazing drugstore brands are coming out with great eyeshadow palettes now that I'm just, you know, our standards I feel like are higher, and I feel like the quality of this is unacceptable just because of the inconsistency. So a couple of the shades are pigmented and blend nicely, and then a couple of them aren't, and then a couple of the shimmers lack that intensity. My favorite drugstore palettes, just to give you guys a great alternative, just to show you there are such amazing drugstore palettes out there that this quality and the inconsistency of this is unacceptable to me. I really love the e.l.f. Mad for Matte is like my total favorite, and also the CoverGirl True Naked palettes. You guys, those are bomb. Like the mattes are blendable and pigmented. The shimmers are very bam. I love those two. Those are the two that pop right into my head. Oh, also NYX has like amazing eyeshadows, of course. So I'm just gonna quickly use the pale shade in the palette just to set the primer or the concealer I used. There's also not that many great transition shades in this palette, so if you kind of wanted to go in with a nice nude, you would have to be using a shimmery nude. So I'm not a huge fan of the shade choice in this palette, so I guess we're just gonna go straight into this shimmery shade. Maybe we'll just pop that all over the lid. Like, there's not really a transition shade, which is, you know, I mean, super inconvenient. I feel like every eyeshadow palette needs good transition shades. I don't know if you guys are noticing, but this brown is actually, like, this is the brown that I used, and it looks really purple on the eyes, but it's totally supposed to be a brown. I'm just gonna add a little bit of extra dimension, mixing in this shade and this shade. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's becoming like hard for me to blend this shade up there. I don't know what it is with these shadows, like they get a bit patchy sometimes in certain areas. So I'm gonna use my finger to apply the gold in the palette. You see how that lacks like some bling? I'm gonna mix in a little bit more of that champagne shade on top. So for underneath the eyes, I'm gonna take this really pretty smoky blue and mix it a little bit with the brown. Well, this is not looking so good, is it? So I'm gonna use this shade right here and try to use it as an inner corner, but something tells me, yeah, it's not gonna be pigmented. I had a feeling it's not gonna be pigmented. It's not gonna really give much highlight to the inner corner. So for mascara, we're gonna be using the Rimmel Shake It Fresh mascara. So I mentioned this actually recently. I'm really not a fan of this. I actually found it to be quite clumpy, and for a mascara that markets themselves and went so far out of their way to even add a shaker in the mascara to make it clump free, I just thought that it was really funny how it actually gave me quite a bit of clumps. It gets super clumpy super quickly, and I'm not used to that. Like, I'm used to a mascara getting clumpy, okay, like for my favorite mascaras, if I apply like 4 or 5 coats. But this is like 1 to 2, and you do get quite a bit of clumpage. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it gives you a little bit of like spidery lashes. Next product is this NYX Wonder Pencil. When I first tried this out, I was really excited because I don't know why. I thought it would be a great inner corner, sorry, not inner corner, tight line, whatever, you guys know what I mean, pencil. But it really doesn't show up that much on me. I actually have super watery eyes. So it barely shows up on me, and it really doesn't stay in very nicely. So last thing is the lips, and for today we're going to be using the NARS, these are called the Velvet Lip Glides. Yeah, Velvet Lip Glides in the shade Mineshaft. This is kind of another recent hate of mine. I'm really not a fan of the formula of this. It's super waxy, feels very cheap. So for a brand that's like NARS, and you pay a pretty penny for this, it feels very cheap, almost like dollar store makeup or like something you would get like kids makeup or something. I don't know, it just feels really waxy and candle wax and cheap. Now it is a red, so this is to be expected. It does bleed. I really do feel like I look like Miranda Singh right now. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this makeup tutorial using products that I hate. Please don't forget to like, thumbs up if you want me to continue doing these, and I definitely will. Oh my god, this lipstick keeps getting on my teeth. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching me put a bunch of products I hate on my face, because right now I do not feel my cutest. But I do hope you enjoyed, and as always, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. Mwah.